Leave carpool and pick his.
Natalie, are we good now?
Love that.
Awesome, thank you.
Good morning. Call the meetings of the EDB and the commission to order. We can start just going around the room, attendance roll call, state your name and town, or the end of your representative, I should say.
Rick Healy, Rochester.
Mr. Jane Dover.
Steve Stansel, Wakefield.
Van Tom, Barrington.
Don Roth, Brookfield.
Kate Broussard, Middleton. Jen Casper Lee.
Steve Brown, Dover. Marshall Goldberg, Brookfield.
Hey, good morning. I'm John New, representing Milton.
Mark Richardson, Summersworth.
Mike Kavinsky, Summersworth.
Lindsay Williams Dover.
Mike Lemon, Durham. Mike Palazzati, SRPC.
Jen Sis, SRPC Executive Director.
Colin West, Director Regional. And online, please.
Let's start with commissioners. Glenn,
Glenn Griswold, Nottingham.
he's on hold.
Joe.
Joe,
Joe Boudreau, Rochester.
close the room since John is on hold here. I know John Mullen is from Middleton. And then, from DES, Jack,
Good morning, Jack Wade, New Hampshire DES.
we have Michael Miller. Natalie,
Good morning, Natalie Gemma, SRPC.
and Megan.
Good morning, everyone.
Ian, you're
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
You doesn't have a lot of your phone. Certainly. Okay.
So the Commissioners Roundtable, any updates from your town, some areas of interest?
Just as an aside, June 26th, we celebrate a project that's been a number of years in the making. And it's finally coming to a conclusion or close on the watershed conservation easement. And really is the southwestern part of Ayers Lake, so over 500 acres will be added to the roster. And so virtually, except for one small sliver of land, which is being contested, the lake is under largely conservation easement. So it's a big chunk of over a mile of shoreline is being protected directly by this one acquisition. So I feel good that as like community, stepped up, we contributed the funds that we were able to. The Conservation Commission stepped up with 175,000. So a lot of different pockets stepped forward to make this whole project work. There's over 2 million funds were required.
Wow.
So it's all happening.
Can I ask a question? Was that the purchase of the land and the easement or?
Yes.
Just like to remind everyone, I'm putting on my Clean Air New Hampshire hat, that if you have any buildings that you want to be weatherized, this is the time. NH Saves is really, really helpful all the time, but right now, especially if you're in Unitil or New Hampshire Electric Co-op territories, they really are looking for projects as fast as possible. Weatherize, make it cheaper to pay for your heat and your cooling and to make your buildings more comfortable. So please reach out.
At Wednesday night's planning board meeting, we had a conceptual presentation made for our new library. It's quite a deal, long overdue, so, gonna be interesting to see it happen finally.
One other thing, building on, just in Summersworth, we applied for a brick grant, a FEMA brick grant the other day, we got an internal deadline for a stormwater improvements project in the city, kind of more in the urban part, downtown part. And we were able to, at least qualify for the grant. It's competitive, et cetera. But we used our current hazardous mitigation plan as kind of a reference point. And then we built it up. That project was also in one of our CIP years. So it was referenced and documented in that way. So we'll see how we go. Jen and her staff assisted us in a pre-application phase a couple months back, and we were then selected to apply. So.
On the topic of libraries, the Dover Public Library will be opening next Friday. Reopening after, very large renovation, so it's very exciting. They're doing kind of an open house, so anyone's welcome to come. And there will be construction downtown Dover. They're building 2 more pedestrian, bump outs.
And
Just
the,
a comment for Mark, as you go through your library renovations, we can set you up with a new librarian. And, you know, we're fresh into the game of new libraries, and so we're working really well. But like any construction project, it's things, hindsight, you might do differently. So you're invited to take advantage of our recent.
Wonderfully energy.
Yeah, it's renovating the old building and adding an addition to make it significantly larger and kind of remain with that open concept type thing that we've had, at least in the original library. And it, you know, with elevators and accessibility and all of that, it's been long overdue. So it's gonna be cool.
Online folks say like something they wanna. Nope. Hold on.
John has his hand up.
Can you hear me? Nope, can't hear me.
Yes, we can.
Here you go.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
No. Oh, okay, okay. 2 things. For Middleton, number 1 is our watershed management implementation plan on our first major project is near completion. That was a big project. It should be completed next week. And the commission has done an excellent job in managing that. And that's a big project. Number 2, unrelated to Middleton, but related to the area, the watershed, the Gonick Dam, which is under removal by DES and a variety of other organizations, is well underway. And I was there on Wednesday, sorry. And that is moving very well. The lower dam is 2/3 done. They'll start working on the upper dam in the fall or late summer. And that's a big project to remove the dams, the upper dam and the lower dam at the Gonick Dam or the Gonick Mill in Rochester. And so it was attended by about 35 different people from different organizations. It was a good tour. That's it.
Next online. Nope. Okay. And
Michael, I've got one thing.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Lindsay, you can remind me, when is the Nebby Park opening?
I was just starting to look for that. It's early July. Let me see. Keep explaining what.
So yes, Nebby Park is the public park in the downtown waterfront development site. That is, I mean, it's really is open now for the public, but there's a grand opening in early July,
July 14th.
July 14th.
And it is spectacular. We just went by and boat yesterday.
Yeah.
And, or day before rather, and saw it from one, it's like, wow.
Yeah, it's turned out very well.
Let's chat.
Oh, on the dam subject, the 108 Oyster River Dam in Durham has begun the dewatering process. That's also slated for removal over the course of the summer. And the water levels have been drawn down considerably. Stream there. Anybody goes over that, way down to 108. We've got a lot of issues with neighbors and people boarding, obviously, with the concerns with
Yeah.
the animals and such that are in there, but it's a long-term process that that's it for the roundtable. Everybody's had a chance to review the minutes. If there's any questions on the minutes from May or any additions or modifications to suggest. Hearing none, someone want to make a motion to accept the minutes as presented for May? Second. All in favor?
And
We have to do a roll call.
Oh, that's sorry, yeah, got that, sorry. Yes, roll call. Go ahead.
Yes.
Joanne.
Steve Stansel abstain.
And John Barrington, aye.
John Roth abstained.
Kate Bizarre, yes.
Drew Casper, yes.
Yes.
Marshall Goldberg abstained.
John Newton, yes.
Mark Richardson, yes.
Mike Levinsky, yes.
Lindsay Williams, yes.
Mike Lerman abstained.
Okay, online, Glenn,
Glenn Griswold, aye.
next, John,
John Mullen, Middleton, aye.
Bill,
Joe Boudreaux, Rochester, abstain.
and Kian.
Ian McDermott, aye, from Dover, sorry.
Thank you.
Topic.
Folks online see presentation.
Yes.
Great. So we're going to public hearing.
Yes, you'll just open the public hearing, Michael do a little presentation.
So this will formally open a public hearing on the comprehensive economic development strategy for the next 5 years.
So, throughout the room are some printed copies of the, final draft set I did ask. Yep. Are some final draft copies. Also, we posted online when, the meeting packet went out last week, this final draft as well that incorporates some of the comments that we've received. I do just want to take a few minutes to go through some public comments that we received and how we addressed them in the draft. But just as kind of a reminder of when our public comment period was open and how we gathered comments. We posted the initial draft May 7th, so a day early, so it was open for 31 days. But May 8th through June 7th was our formal 30-day public comment period. We gave a presentation to you all at the last commission meeting where we solicited some comments from you. We presented to our strategy committee during their main meeting from 9 to gather some comments from them. And we also did a meeting with some of our partners to gather comments, and then we received some public comments via email as well. So we prepared the public comment log, which is at the end of this document. Today is the adoption hearing. We're going to go through these comments and you all consider adopting the plan. So we received a quick number of public comments, both from you all, from our strategy committee, and from members of the public. But I do just want to walk through, what we received. So, for folks who can see the screen, the green items highlighted up there are things that we were able to incorporate and address in the plan. The yellow items are things that, we are not addressing for this document, but we're considering addressing them in a future document along with the rationale. And white is kind of the catch-all area, which I'll explain as we go through each comment or note. So we received comments about the aging population, cost of elder care, impact on the economy and social security. We were able to implement a age friendliness section into the draft in the healthy and vibrant communities to address a lot of this. And we were also to incorporate additional discussion into the workforce section as well. The impacts to social security is a little bit beyond the scope of this set, but it is something that we may consider addressing in the future draft. We received comments about housing development and local developers that we weren't able to find data on at this time, but we were able to provide some discussion that there isn't really too much non-local development happening in New Hampshire. Most is based in most developers are based in New Hampshire. But we will look for some data sources to support this discussion in the future sets. Some comments about more discussion in the distress regarding distressed communities, which we were able to incorporate into the distressed areas section of the sets. We did receive a comment after last meeting about the vision statement, about it being too long. We did go back to our strategy committee at their May 20th meeting and shared this feedback with them, and they had some discussion amongst themselves and with us. And they decided to retain the vision statement and recommended that it stay the same. So we did not make any changes to it for this final draft here. We did receive several comments about various grammatical and spelling adjustments throughout. Did not list them out here. It would have been a little tedious, but those were all addressed. We did receive some, another comment we received was regarding, is there data about grandparents moving closer to grandchildren to provide childcare? We're not able to come across any robust data sets to incorporate that at this time. Some people need to incorporate transportation into the draft, and we did incorporate a subsection into the healthy and vibrant communities to address that and discuss its important intersections with economic development in the region. The same thing with a intentional section on tourism and its impact on our economy, and we were able to incorporate that into the document as well. Received a comment about adding an action item to our preliminary action plan regarding looking into other strategic plans that are in process or adopted in our region that are not conducted by us, but are conducted by other organizations to ensure that we are kind of aligning with our efforts throughout the region. So we added that in. That comment came from one of our strategy committee members who works in kind of the public social services space. So they were hoping that we could ensure that we have alignment amongst all of our different efforts. We did receive, so now we're getting into some comments that came in beyond our meetings with you all and the strategy committee. Several of these comments were about clarifications in various sections, like the economic development capacity section, listing out the tracts that are considered distressed in the economic distress or the distressed areas section. We received some comments about housing, data on restricted units in the region and economic development. That is a interesting kind of comment that we were able to discuss internally. Data is not that available for the number of income restricted units throughout the region. There is a point in time data point in our latest RHNA from a few years ago, but we're going to be working with New Hampshire Housing to see if we can gather some additional data, because we do think that this is an important discussion for the housing section that we could maybe incorporate in a future set once we do get that data. We did also receive some, comments regarding business innovation English section, to track self-employment, numbers and sole proprietorships, when discussing kind of the workforce and the breakdown of employment in the region. That's something that we are, going to incorporate in the future sets. And then we did also receive a little bit of feedback as well and some comments regarding, providing comparisons to those numbers to the national context. So once we do gather those numbers in a future sets, we will provide those comparisons. And then, this is our last slide. We did receive a couple of comments asking for additional details regarding, school enrollment and its impact to the labor force in the future, childcare capacity in the region and the impact of the workforce, which we were able to, clarify in our language. We did, get another comment regarding clarification of a specific action item related to a regional partner database. This is something that was pulled forward from a past SEDS. So we were able to add a little bit more language in the table at the end, provide some clarity there. And then we did receive one more comment about, providing some additional descriptions or rationales for how, for the different action items in the preliminary action plan. And that's something that we are going to address when we work with our strategy in the fall to create the final plan on this preliminary one that's in this year sets. So those are that's kind of a summary of the comments that we received. The full log is at the very end of the sets. But this is really just kind of a copy and paste. Yeah.
And observation as well. This is great data, and the fact that you had a broad sweep of all these entities that comment on that, I think speaks well for not only the report, but SRPC in general. So that's a kudo. So good for that. These things also tend to have a leg. So for the last report issued by Rachel 2 months ago or something like that, that's now made its way around in Barrington and Stratford, the political scene. People it's getting a little dog-eared and going from place to place. Some people do it online, but most people like the hard copy. But it's informing the discussions and the debates that being held, little town parties, people stepping up to be a candidate for one office or another. They're referring back to that as their own talking points. So it has legs, so that has an impact.
Thank you. Something before I forget, that's beyond the sets, but related to the data snapshot. I don't know if we announced that
Weeks ago.
But in addition to, or sitting alongside the data snapshot, the data team, so Rachel and the others create specific community profiles that are like the PDF of Barrington, of Milton, of all of our communities in the region, that have all of the data about that community in one place. We completed those 2 weeks ago. And those are now posted on our website too, that can help support local discussions as well. Yeah.
Thanks for stubborn.
Some things I'm excited about from the strategy committee, right, was the recommendation to see where this aligns or doesn't align with other strategies. And it's got me wondering if SRPC, and I guess the discussion, like I'd love your feedback, but also could be kind of that a convener for those different strategic planners so that regularly they're getting together to see where there's opportunities to collaborate or align. And I feel like if you could bring people together for those conversations, maybe there could be some synergies we could take advantage of, or see where we might be tripping over each other and blocking each other.
Yeah.
Do you think you can handle that? So our future work with our strategy committee is going to be one, identifying partners that can support the implementation of all the action items, but then also trying to identify our players as well. There's a lot in the room with our strategy committee, but there's also a lot more. So we're hoping to lean on their expertise to help fill in our gaps.
members of the public that might happen to be on. Close the public hearing, I think. Oh,
Just a thought in terms of future data. I know that you had said that there's a single point for, income restriction units, but we could probably incorporate voucher numbers instead.
Yeah, there's a few different data sources. I think the challenge is that the data that exists, for subsidized, it's by like who holds it. So like you've got New Hampshire Housing has theirs, HUD has theirs, but it's hard to align those and not double count between data sources. That's
My thought was just pulling it straight from housing authorities rather than.
yeah, that's another, they're only gonna capture the units that they manage. So it's, yeah.
And one other thing I do just want to bring up, I forgot to at the beginning, photos, to the public in the sets and the photos that you see, incorporated in the document, take into some of those, submissions that we received from folks from our communities. And then also, some photos that we were able to, use from the business affairs. So it's a nice mix of kind of more professional photos and then also things that folks in the region were able to submit.
anything else on that? Take the vote now to recommend adoption. Just adopt.
Yeah.
Adopt. So have a motion to adopt the sentence as presented as of today. Moved. Rick. Second. All in favor, you both call because of the.
Yes.
Okay, so I have to go around the room, just name and aye or not.
Rick Healy, aye.
Steve Stansel, aye.
Downtown, aye.
John Rumble, abstain.
Kate Kazar, aye. Karen Casper, aye.
Steve Brown, aye. Marshall Goldberg, aye.
Milton votes yes.
Mark Richardson, I.
Mike Levinsky, aye.
Lindsay Williams, aye.
Mike Lemon, aye.
And on screen, Glenn?
Glenn Griswold, aye.
Mullen?
John Mullen, aye. Joe Boudreau, aye.
Ian?
Ian McDermott, aye.
Wonderful, thank you. That is everyone.
Very nice work on behalf of the staff, putting all together and everyone that participated. Thank you all. Item for annual meeting business item for fiscal year 2027 budget presentation and adoption. And just ask Jen if she would just very briefly, as enters into that, to just give a quick update on the status of 2026.
Yes. Okay, the status of 2026. To be glib, 2026 is the shame of my tenure. So we had a very difficult year this year. We had several leaves of absence that made it very difficult for us to hit our targets, to draw down against the various sources of revenue that we have. And in turn, with leaves of absence also comes a bumped up overhead or indirect rate. So we hit our low in January with approximately, we were operating at approximately a $90,000 deficit in January. As of the end of May, we are down to 48,000 for our deficit. We'll still recoup a little bit more for the end of June, but I'm expecting, you know, somewhere between a loss of 30,000 to 40,000 for fiscal 26. So not our finest year, but we did have several different extenuating circumstances that made it very challenging. So wanted to kind of start the budget with that kind of where we're at today and what we're trying to aim for in the future. So just give me 1 second to navigate away from Mike's presentation. To use the budget as it is in your PDF packet, and I'm going to take a second to scroll, and then I will share my screen for those folks online. And just as a disclaimer for the folks online, the resolution of this here in the room, for the people in the room, is terrible to actually read what is on the screen, but they do have, folks do have it in front of them. And for those of you online, I can't actually read what is on screen too, so I hope that I am pointing to the correct place as I am going through and talking. So with that in mind, one of the things we will start with here is that looking at next year, we have about, well, just shy of 100,000 less in projected in revenue and expenses for next year than we had in this year's budget. So we'll start there. So next year's budget is looking down. It's down a little bit from this year, but we are balanced. So that is the important part to keep in mind. Just kind of reference that here, essentially presenting a break-even budget. So I'm going to scroll over. Actually, I'll just pause here on, what the proportion of those funding sources looks like. And our transportation programs or metropolitan planning organization, that represents just shy of a third of our funding. Funding from state agencies such as the primary ones that we have direct funding from are Department of Environmental Services, Community Development Finance Authority, and Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Those represent about 12% of our budget. Municipal and other nonprofit agreements, primarily municipal agreements, are about a quarter of our budget. And other federal agencies is another quarter of our budget. And you'll see dues there. Dues is only 7% of our budget. I will note, though, that about 75% of dues goes towards matching federal programs, where 50% of dues goes directly to matching that federal transportation program. When you look at our budget, the commodity that we sell to our communities and those that we work with, it's our labor, it is our personnel time. And so as such, our personnel represents almost 2/3 of our budget. The other overhead pieces, equipment, communications, other fixed expenses, administrative expenses there, that's only about 7% of our budget. Contracted work represents just shy of a third of our budget. Because not everything is things that we naturally do in-house, and we do have things that we pass through to other agencies and organizations. Okay, so looking at revenue, our dues dollars are up a little bit on the revenue side. This is a factor of two things. One is just that natural annual increase by that CPI. As well as we going into fiscal 27, this will be the first year that we will have all 18 communities in the region joining us as dues paying communities. So very, very excited. When I first started here, we had 4 communities that were not dues paying. So super thrilled that we've been able to demonstrate our value and importance to the communities in the region. So then on the municipal and nonprofit side, there's been 2 different sets of things in here. We have some contracts that are annual things that we provide on a regular basis to our community. So we have 5 different municipalities, for which we provide contracted planning services. And so you'll see those here as a year to year, fairly consistent. We also have a couple communities, for whom we provide tax map update services to. So you'll see those continuing in here, year to year. And then on the remainder of the things that we have on the municipal and nonprofit side, they're one-off different projects or contracts that we might work on for a community, such as a master plan chapter or some other planning project that a community might have. And I will note that all of these are confirmed revenue sources. You'll see under Summersworth, it's got a chapter TBD. It is a confirmed project. The dollars are there. We are confirmed. We just need to finish the contract. And the city needs to decide which chapter that they want to do. They've got one, I've suggested another. We'll see what we pick. Okay, moving on to the federal agency portion of the revenue. Our economic development district funding, that is a consistent $70,000 that we receive each year from the Economic Development Administration. That's Mike and Natalie, in the sense that you just saw here today, that those dollars support. We also, from the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, we have a brownfields assessment program. This has a corresponding pass-through where we have contracted with Novus Engineering that provides the services. We provide some administrative support to the program and connection between the communities. I will just plug this one program here because we are entering the final 15 months of it, and we've got dollars to draw down. If in your community you have a property that is of importance to you, but it is potentially not being redeveloped or it's sitting there vacant because of known contamination or even perceived contamination, we have dollars to go in and do the environmental assessments and help with some redevelopment planning. So take advantage of us and our money that we have there. The third item I will mention here, under federal revenue, we have a grant from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. This particular grant, we are the prime recipient of it, and we have funding for the other 8 regional planning commissions under this grant, where all 9 regional planning commissions have been working at updating their regional plan. I know you've heard from Mike and Mark, Colin, and others about updates to those planning documents, and you'll be hearing more in the next few months as well. We are going into the final year of that funding source, but again, I will note that a lot of this is passed through to the other 8 planning commissions. And you'll see similar on the expense side for that.
Jen, do we get income from, by managing the money for the other?
Yes. We get more money out of that grant than they get because we kept an extra slice for our administrative costs to do that work. Yep. Oh, please. So, yes. Juggling the others and doing, like, because we have to then in turn do our fiscal or fiduciary responsibility of monitoring and making sure that they're properly administering their work. Okay. On the state agreements, we have several different things here on the state agreement side. The coastal grant, and I'll know I was, and how I presented the budget here, a little bit remiss. This is an annual grant, but each year gets a new contract number. So you're not seeing fiscal 26 because it was on a separate line and so it had no dollars in this year, and that row is hidden in the budget when I printed it. So I probably shouldn't have hidden that row. But so typically, that coastal grant, the first line there, this is an annual award that we receive from the Department of Environmental Services. It is typically $15,000 to work with the 5 communities that are in our region that also fall within the coastal zone. Those dollars come from NOAA, and their funding cycle has shifted. So you're seeing here this year, a gap of 6 months because our funding cycle, we're gonna go, July through December without funding under that program. And that contract is gonna be shifting to an annual contract from January through December. So you're only seeing half of that, that program here this year. I know it's a small one compared to some of these others. We have several different programs that we've been working on to develop with DES that are kind of coming online this year. We have John can tell you all about the work we've done in Middleton on their watershed management plan. We also completed a watershed management plan in Milton for Milton Three Ponds, and now we're going to be starting, or have been working on them, but this is a larger chunk of funding that's going to come in to help support watershed management plan for Bow Lake in Stratford. I will note we have one speculative item here within the Department of Environmental Services funding, and it is indicated in italics here. It is a coastal resilience grant. These grant applications were just due a week ago today. We submitted 2 grant applications. If we received both of those, the net funding to SRPC, because one of them has some pass-through, would be about $30,000. So this is only factoring receiving one of the 2. It is a highly probable. There are the only communities that are eligible for that funding source are those that fall within the coastal zone. So it is likely that we will receive at least one of the 2. Moving down to the University of New Hampshire as a funding source. UNH, the PREP, the Piscataqua Region Estuaries Program, has been a very active funder. We have 3 projects under their PREPA grants that are winding down in September. On Tuesday, they just had their next deadline for their next round of funding applications. And we submitted or were part of 4 different proposals that went in there. I think in total, the value of the 4 different proposals that we put in was somewhere in the realm of probably just shy of $100,000. The total funding that is available under that opportunity is $100,000. We will not get all 4. So this factors in, and this is the other speculative item here, is this $25,000. It is safe to assume that we will get at least one of the 4, which would be, and that puts that $25,000 in a very realistic speculative. And I'll note that this year actually has the least speculation in the budget, because we always know that there will be things that will come throughout the year. So in terms of being solid, I think the most solid we've been in quite some time and what we're kind of speculating for revenue. Last couple of things I will mention is Community Development Finance Authority. We've been continuing to do some work on administering community development block grants. And we also currently have a grant from CDFA to work on helping municipalities implement changes to their ordinances and regulations to be more childcare friendly and compliant with recent changes to state statute. You may have heard from Natalie. She's been sending out different communications to advertise this funding opportunity and ability for SRPC to work with your community. Last 2 things I will mention here on the revenue side, hazard mitigation planning. Every year we tend to have at least a couple hazard mitigation plans. We have 3 that are in the queue and have been already going through the contracting process for this upcoming year. So we will be working with Somersworth, Rollinsford, and New Durham to update their hazard mitigation plans. And then lastly, the last line here is UPWP. That's our Unified Planning Work Program. That is our large contract under the Metropolitan Planning Organization. That is our transportation dollars that flow from US DOT to New Hampshire's DOT and to the regions. This is the funding that we have to support all of our transportation planning programs. And I will just note that we have a bit more coming that we expect in fiscal 27 than we had budgeted in this current fiscal year. So it's a 2-year contract. This year was the first year of the contract. So we know we've got so many dollars to draw down and we're carrying forward a little bit extra that we did not draw down this year into next year. So it's a higher amount here next year on the revenue side. I don't even have my email open and I don't know why these things keep popping up. That's really annoying. Okay, on the expense side. And this part is a little bit faster because it's not really, there's not that much on the expense side. So as I said, the number one thing is our personnel costs. If you look and compare last year to this year, it's almost level. Staff are getting some sort of increase. I will mention that. So there are a couple of things happening here. We have a couple positions that will be that are transitioning from one person to another, lower seniority levels. So there's a decrease there. And then we also have a staff person who is a temporary special projects. The projects that she has been working on are winding down in September. So I don't have additional hours for her, but she's on reserve so that if we did receive any additional contracts, we could ramp up and be responsive to additional requests beyond what is here in the budget. But that revenue and thus that staff time is not included here. So with those two decreases to the salary line, that frees up some space to allow for modest increases for staff based upon performance and range from 1.5% to 3%. I will also note the other bigger change is health insurance. And I think we all know the state of the health insurance market these days and not, so it is what it is.
Exactly.
So scrolling down or looking at the other items, the other portions of our expense lines generally stay fairly constant. You'll see some things where, such as like our traffic count supplies is down this year. This current fiscal year, we had to replace all of our traffic counters. That is something that's paid for by DOT. So we had a bigger chunk in our fiscal 26 for traffic count supplies. And we're down to just our usual consumables for that program that we need to replace every year in fiscal 27. Computers and peripherals, we had several computers that died on us this year, and we had to replace more computers in fiscal 26 than we would have wanted to. We're down to a normal computer replacement rate, knock on wood, hopefully in fiscal 27. Generally, our communications to fixed expenses are more or less the same. I will just note, and we owe our insurance provider a question on why on earth did our property and liability insurance go up 50%? And then just concluding, like the outsourced contracts, I am not going to go through each of these individually, but overall, what you can see here is that difference in fiscal 26 to fiscal 27, it really comes down to outsourced contracts revenue that we have in fiscal 26 that was going to pass through. We don't have as much pass through expenses occurring in fiscal 27. And that's the real big difference from fiscal 26 to 27 in the budget. So that is, yeah.
Questions, comments?
I have two nitpicky things. The postage and delivery stays the same,
Yeah,
but the stamps costs are going up. We anticipate.
we don't ever actually hit that total.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've just kept it pretty flat for quite some time.
And then that was the same with the travel line.
Again, we don't usually hit the travel line, that total amount, so it's something that generally is safe for us to keep. But we'll look at our, we do periodically look at our actuals, and if we need to bump it, we bump it, but we haven't needed to in the budget for a couple of years.
And then my other question is on the revenue sheets, the first column is FY 2027 adopted mid-year. I'm assuming that's 326.
Thank you, that is 26. And that would be, I got a little overzealous in replacing my 26s with 27s when I recycled my file.
Thank you. Some questions about it. Anybody online? Have any questions or comments?
For the expenses for 27, in several places you have that the actuals were different than the adopted in your budget. Would be handy to have what that projected was, what the actual was, so we can compare that to know, for instance, if you're under the 1,300, things like that, so if that line could be added.
Yeah, and if there are executive fitting.
You know, I think I read that just,
Oh, yes, you have to-
yeah, I'll share.
You know what, I can give you I have a printout of where we are as of May, that this is has, I can give you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that executive committee each month sees, monthly updates, on where we are budget versus actual. I'm happy to provide that to anyone else at any point.
You okay with that, John? Fine, thank you. No more questions or comments? Take a motion to recommend or to adopt the 27 budget as presented. Would like to make a motion.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Doing seconds.
Just keep moving.
Yeah. Okay, so going around the room, please, just your name and yea or nay.
Ray Haley, yes.
Steve Stanley, yes.
Ray Town, yes.
John Roth abstained.
Kate Bizarre, yes.
Sabrina Casper, yes.
Steve Brown, yes.
Marshall Goldberg, yes.
John Duke, yes.
Mark Richardson, yes.
Mike Babinski, yes.
Lindsay Williams, yes.
Mike Blairman, yes.
And commissioners on screen, Glenn,
Glenn Griswold, yes.
John,
John Mullen, yes.
Joe,
Joe Boudreau, yes. Ian McDermott, yes.
Just as a final note on the budget, executive committee did discuss this at much bigger length this morning. And one of the things that we wanted just to ask as a request for all of you, as a homework item, think about in the future. We had a discussion about what other sources of revenue could the RPC to bring in revenue that's not tied to grant money that has caps in terms of the indirect costs. The indirect cost is a big part of it. So it's money that would just be from municipal presentation, educational session, any other services that we these might information that's vetted here. So think about that if you would over the course and future meeting, if not July, next after that. We'd like to get some feedback on that. Anybody can come up with any suggestions or ideas in terms of other revenue sources.
Just to add to that comment, we're looking to have, saving, account that we can even out that spikes in the business.
Don't be trying to be able to get to a point where we can have a line that's more than just a balanced budget.
Next item. You mentioned the indirects. What is our actual indirect versus what are the grants providing, if there's a difference there?
there is that. So there's no, there is difference. So we go through every 2 to 3 years and we have to negotiate our indirect rate. The federal agency that we have to work with is Department of Interior. They are contracted on behalf of the Economic Development Administration, who is our federal cognizant agency. So every couple of years, we negotiate with Department of Interior. They set our rate based upon our audited financials of what is the percentage of our indirect costs as a percent of our direct salaries, our billable salaries. And so there's always a lag in that as well. So we're currently operating at 117%, but our audited indirect rate from a couple of years ago, which our rate was set, is 112. And that's part of what is contributing to this year's operating loss, is that we are not fully able to recoup our overhead costs. And so I will also note that our indirect cost rate, it includes all fringe plus overhead. So.
Voted by inflation. So that goes by.
Yeah.
To elect officers and members of the executive committee for 27. And the last page in your packet has a slate of proposed officers and members of the executive committee. This was prepared through seeking volunteers. And we can also entertain motions from the floor for additional nominations if anybody would like to do so.
John Duke makes a motion to approve the slate of officers and executives as presented.
Okay, second. Thank you. So. Go around the room.
Healy, yes.
Sir Shane.
Steve Stansel, yes.
Yes.
Rob Goldfield abstain.
Kate Bizarre Middleton, yes.
Sharon Casper, yes.
Steve Brown Dover, yes.
Marshall Goldberg Brookfield, yes.
John Duke votes yes.
Mark Richardson, Summersworth, yes.
Mike Levinsky, yes.
Lindsay Williams, yes.
Mike Lemon, yes.
And on screen, Glenn,
Glenn Griswold, abstain.
John,
John Mullen, yes.
Joe,
Joe Boudreau, yes.
and Kim.
Ian McDermott, yes.
Thank you all. 27 meeting schedule.
27 meeting schedule, yes. Your meeting schedule is for the upcoming fiscal year, starting in July, is included in your packet. I will note though, don't forget, next Thursday evening is our annual meeting. I hope that we will be seeing you there. We are looking forward to it. We've got 3 state agency commissioners joining us. We have Robert Scott from the Department of Environmental Services, Lucy, I have to find out before next Thursday if it's Lang or Lange. Lang, okay, who is the recently appointed commissioner from the Department of Business and Economic Affairs. And we have Dave Rodriguez, who is at Department of Transportation. So we're really looking forward to having 3 commissioners join us from state agencies. So it should be a pretty exciting conversation. Steve Pesci, who many of you know, he is a policy committee member who represents UNH and their Wildcat transit system here. For those who don't know, Steve was fallen ages ago here at SRPC and was the assistant director here at SRPC at one point. So yeah, so it's a fun history there. So Steve is going to be facilitating, and he's so enthusiastic. He's been like jumping in and helping plan the panel and everything. So it's been great. So yeah, so hopefully see you next Thursday. Your schedule maintains the same pattern of meetings. We continue the 3rd Friday of the month at 9 a.m. Those of you know, executive committee meets at 8 AM right beforehand. You're always welcome to come in and join us unless we're in non-public. But we will be next week and then again in July. I will. On the same thing, so I will out next year as a June date, May. So today, there's only 4 staff members here because SRPC adopted Juneteenth as an official holiday. So the majority of our staff are not working. Megan, Colin, Mike and I are the only 4 people in the office working today. We kept our meeting scheduled because scheduling a quorum is harder than 4 of us to reschedule a holiday. So the 4 of us are taking next Friday.
So we're gonna try to plan.
We might get the same situation this next year as well.
If we plan ahead now and just change that schedule?
We certainly could. Would you all be amenable to us moving the June meeting up 1 week?
Yeah, well, that'd be okay to get the budget ready and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have a whole year.
it just means I have to do it a week sooner. That's okay.
Okay.
And Mike has 1 week less to make edits to the
It's a-
centennial update, but we've got it down to a system, so.
That's great. idea.
1 week earlier?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so officially we will change that from June 18th to June 11th. We will make that change official. For those of you that are new, we do try to schedule a few field trips each year. We try to do 3 of them, September, December, and February. Try and organize those to be thematic and be able to leave our windowless conference room, go somewhere else in the region, hear from some of the people that we work with, the communities that we work with on different projects and highlight those partnerships. So we're looking at lining a few different things up. We have 2 different possible ideas for September, so both of them should be. Ooh,
Maybe New Hampshire North Coast.
might be a freight rail option. We've had an inquiry. We would not be able to take everyone, but we have had an inquiry from folks and partnering with Rockingham Planning Commission to go on the gondolas and do a gondola tour.
Jazz and cheese.
I don't know that we would have jazz and cheese. Arlington has the largest solar installation in the state of New Hampshire that is currently under construction, that I know Katrin has helped the town out with as well. And so that may be done. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get to go and see the solar work in Farmington. So to be determined. So we have a couple things in the works. To the suggestions, if you have something really exciting in your community that you'd like to share and host, let us know and we can partner up and schedule a field trip.
Thank you. Other business. Anybody have any other business?
I have a question. When the New Hampshire Co-op, when they go and chemically treat the side of the roads for their electricity, obviously they have to send a note, that kind of thing. But is there anything that if you're a property owner, you know, they're coming on your yard and shooting herbicides, does anybody have any experience with that, or what you do, or what you can do, or what they can't do, or?
They just put that field on.
Right.
On property. You had, they told you ahead of time, you had the ability to say that you didn't want them to spray some of the telephone poles in the regions. And if that was so, we said we didn't, and ours got sprayed anyway, so that always works great, but they did provide that opportunity for feedback. I will say when they spray, they overspray, so it goes into your grass and all like that quite a bit. And I think they will spray
any of the invasive species, whether you say you don't release regular spray because they're invasive. It's just like the same. Anybody online? Oh,
I just said thank you.
anybody online have any other business? Somebody else?
Something slightly unrelated, but we're a public group, so I want to. Seacoast State Local is having their first, large, not a gala. And so I'm actively looking for folks that might have something in alignment with that. So if you have any ideas, for invitations potentially, please let me know.
Do you want to share some numbers in yours?
Yeah, so the Kyle, who acts as town planner and director in the town of Farmington for a sort of writing program. He has been working with myself and folks in town over the last couple of months to prepare an application to designate a new economic revitalization zone in the town. And as of yesterday, that was just approved by the BDA. So a southern portion of Route 11 from the Rochester City line, leading up towards downtown, I believe it encompasses close to 20 parcels on both sides of Route 11 are now eligible. So any companies that expand or any companies that create new jobs in these areas are eligible for certain state level business tax. To help promote new job.
Citizens. Usually open, if anybody, or citizen, not part of the group that wants to make a comment. None? Second. Bye.
We have to do a roll call.
Thank you all very much.
Okay.
You're in something.
You're out here.
Let me know. I'm
Busy. I should try to go through that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very.
Very.
Told by.
Very.